Where do we go from here? The big question on everyone's mind, on everyone's lips. Let's have a look into our run home. So there are 5 games to go on our run home, and mathematically and technically, we can still make the final. So we're currently sitting at 36 points, and if I look at the live ladder at the moment, we are sitting. So we're sitting in 13th spot, and eighth spot, which is Essendon, are on 42. So that's a game and a half out. So as it stands, we can still mathematically, technically make finals, but there's a lot of results that need to go our way. I said in yesterday's video, or in my match review video, that if you have to start relying on other teams to lose, you haven't done your job, and we haven't really done our job. Craig McRae at the start of the year said we need 14 wins to qualify, and we are nowhere near that yet. It doesn't help that we had 2 draws, but we now have probably the hardest run home of any of the teams leading into the finals. So we've got Richmond next week, Sydney away, Melbourne, Carlton. Oh, sorry, no, I'm reading it the wrong way. We got Richmond next week, then Carlton in Pendles' 400th, then Sydney away, then Brisbane at the MCG, then Melbourne to finish off our season. So they are 3 of those 5 teams are in the top 4 currently. One is on top of the ladder. Melbourne will be, that game will be to determine if Melbourne gets into the 8, and it'll probably maybe to determine if we get into the 8. We can maybe afford to drop one more game, but you want to win every single game in front of you, right? And it starts next week against Richmond. But what does this ultimately mean for us as a team? It means that we've got a lot of work to do. And I know that's pretty straightforward, and that's pretty obviously we have a lot of work to do. I think these next 5 weeks need to be about getting back to basics and getting back to the football that made opposition fans and opposition, just anybody that wasn't a Collingwood supporter fall in love with us. We played really sexy footy last year and the year before that. Scintillating footy. We had mongrel about us, and we just don't have that at the moment, and we're not showing that. I think the tactics have to go back to basic football, use the corridor more. This sort of territory game that we're playing clearly isn't working. We have the personnel. We're not a very different team. Well, I guess with the injuries and stuff, but right now, in the present time, we're not a very different team personnel-wise to where we were last season. There was too much evolution in the game plan, I feel. But we have to strip it down to its bare bones, do what Collingwood do best. And that's, playing on from a mark, that's running, that's quick football, that's, those 1-2s. Like when was the last time, and my friend Justin mentioned this to me today. He goes, when was the last time you saw Collingwood play on from a mark because there's a guy running behind him for the handball, and they're getting it quick and they're getting it fast? It's been few and far between. We're a shadow of who we were. And don't tell me it's because teams have figured us out, because we could still play that football even if teams have figured us out. We've proven it. Teams knew about us last season. They knew what we were doing. I think this year we tried to we overcorrected something that didn't need to be fully corrected because it wasn't fully broken yet. So I think if we go back to basics, but then on the flip side of that, if we do lose, a couple of games, if there's bang on no more hope, I want to see a 2025 preparation. Treat these next 5 weeks as back to basics and tactics that will get us going, like it has been the last couple of years, and then look after our players. Maybe Jordan De Goey does need to be rested. If we can't make finals, maybe rest him and get his groin and abdomen issues fixed instead of trying to play through it. Maybe we see more of TJ. We see more some positional changes. We drop Markov or a Noble and bring TJ in, give him some games, blood him that way. maybe it's Ed Allen on the wing. Those are sort of last resorts if we just can't make finals. At the moment, your aim is to win every single game, and it starts with Richmond. Like, I know we've got a hard run home, but if we're winning every single game, and the thing is, it's crazy to think that we've lost the last 4 games and we're still only a game and a half out of the 8. We should really be sitting pretty in the 8 at the moment, but we're not. That's the hands that we've dealt ourselves. But there could be I don't know. I don't want to say there's a glimmer of hope, because if we play like we did yesterday, or against Hawthorn, shit, that was probably the lowest of lows. To be for seeing Collingwood play in so long. It was probably one of the worst games that I've seen us play. To let Hawthorn score 133 points in the wet, and they were just monstering us in clearances, and they were getting on top of us, and they were playing our game better than us. But that's because we tried to overcorrect, and we weren't ready for wet football. It's a winter sport, and we weren't ready for the wet. So there's all these sort of excuses that they will use. But we've got now 5 games to either try to make finals, or 2, prove that 2025 is going to be a better year than this year was. And on the only positive note to finishing out of finals is that we get a more favourable draw next season. Now, look at Geelong. They finished 12th or 13th last season after winning a premiership. They got a favourable draw. They win their first 7 games. Not saying that's going to happen to us, but we will get a bit more favourable draw. We had, I think, the second or third hardest draw in the entire AFL, and I understand, because you're the premiers, you have to blah 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 blah. But we did get a very hard draw, so we might get a bit more of a lenient one if we don't make finals. Obviously, your goal is to make finals, but this run home is going to be like climbing such a steep mountain, and we have to turn it around really quickly, because if we blink, Richmond might roll us. And if that happens, heads will roll. Heads will roll. We get Graham Wright back in September, so maybe there's a bit more of a reshuffle, and the coaching sector and the admin and stuff gets leveled out a little bit more. There's little things that we can do, but on the field, tactically, we have to go back to basics. That's what I want to see in the next 5 weeks. That's where, when I say where do we go from here, that's where we're going. We're going back to basics. We're going back to that fast, creative football, because we do have those guys still. And then, whatever happens in the next 5 weeks, then we'll look at recruiting. Then we'll look at free agents. But right now, our goal is to win every single game. And who knows if that's going to happen or not? Probably not. But if I don't give myself hope, I'll just cry. So I don't want to do that. I want to give myself hope. I want to give you guys hope that there's just a glimmer. Playing like we did against the Hawks, there's not going to be any glimmer, but mathematically there still is. I hate math personally, and like I said, if we keep relying on math, we're not going to do any good. But there's still a glimmer. I just want to see us, again, I'm just hammering it into myself, back to basics, back to basic football, back to the football that won us the premiership, that high pressure, fast running, mongrel football. Like, look at that Melbourne game that we just had 6 weeks ago. That was our best game of the year. That was pretty much a 4-quarter performance or thereabouts. And then we've just been downhill after the bye, getting all these guys back and downhill after the bye. There seems to be probably a little bit of a disconnection between the players and the tactics and the coaching and stuff like that. That has to get turned up really, really quickly, because that's what's going to get us to that next level, either this year or we bounce back and go again next year. But we just have to start seeing something now, because I don't want to see something in preseason. Oh, this is what we're going to look like. I want to see change happen right now. Craig McRae says, we come in on Monday, we don't know if we won or lost. I want these guys to know that we lost, and we lost bad, and they want to make these changes. Because that game against Hawthorn was horrible, and that's probably our lowest of lows. The upside is that we can get better. And I want to see that against Richmond. I want to see that in the next 5 weeks. But let me know your thoughts. What do you want to see from the next 5 weeks, besides wins, of course? What do you want to see in the next 5 weeks? What tactical things do you want to see in the next 5 weeks? Who do you want to see come in? Let me know your thoughts down below. But until then, like, comment, subscribe, tell your family, tell your friends, tell your pets. And until next time, double shackers. I'll swoop you later.